the voice of WOW, Women of Wrestling, Stephen Dickey.
Mike, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here, right here, as one of the next illustrious guests on the Mike Rand Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Mike Rand Show, and today's special guest is the voice of WOW, Stephen Dickey. Hey Stephen, how are you?
I'm good, Mike. Thank you for having me. This is an absolute pleasure. You've had so many great people on right now, and I'm happy to be another guest in a long line of great people. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. So why don't we start off with you telling us, have you always been a wrestling fan?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I started watching wrestling when I was 7, 8 years old. I remember the first event I ever watched was the Bash at the Beach with WCW when Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman were in a tag team match with Hogan and Page. And I remember just like I watched it at a friend's house and just like ever since then I was hooked. It was just like from then on it was that was all I wanted to do. Was I just wanted to be a part of wrestling. And growing up in that and the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars and everything thereon, it was just like it hooked me, and I never turned back since. Even as I got older and other kids and friends of mine were kind of getting out of it and getting away from wrestling, for some reason it kept it got hold of me and never let go.
And where did you grow up?
I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. Born and raised here, lived here my whole life. So this is and obviously we've got tons of other people in WOW from the Indiana area. David McLean, the man who started it all, he's from Indianapolis. So we have that in common. I think that's one of the reasons why we were able to connect, is just the fact that we have similar backgrounds. We come from the same area. And then, of course, Samantha Smart, the IQ superior Samantha Smart, is also from Indiana. So, we all kind of, there's this connection, this hometown connection between a lot of us there that, it's one of those things nobody else can really relate to. Just, kind of the three of us was just kind of talk about memories from being back home.
And how did you get involved in WOW?
I got involved with WOW. I always say it's kind of a fluke thing, but I remember one night, this is probably late 2011, early 2012. I was up late one night just on the internet, and you know how you kind of get on that internet rabbit hole of just looking at different articles and reading different things, and started reading about WOW, and it got me thinking about David McLean and how David is from Indianapolis. And one thing that people don't really remember about David is he ran shows here in Indianapolis under the name of POW. And his history goes even further than that. He worked for Dick the Bruiser. So he's really got really deep roots here in Indianapolis. And I remember thinking, WOW hasn't aired in so long by that point. It had been over 10 years since an episode had aired, and he had ran a show. And I just remember thinking, I wonder if he's got anything coming up. So I found his website, just went on the contact page, and I said, hey, do you guys have any shows coming up that I'd love to hear about? I'd love to know about it. And maybe they'll be in my area and I can go to one. And I remember thinking to myself as I was writing it, I was like, I don't want just like a corporate answer. I don't want them to, kayfabe me, I don't know if anybody's familiar with, I'm sure most people watching this are familiar with that term, but I didn't want them to kayfabe me and give me some answer like, just treat me like another Joe off the street. So I was like, I told him, I was like, hey, I followed wrestling for a long time. I was a writing student at the time, studying creative writing in college. So I told him, I was like, look, I'm a writer. I know how things go behind the scenes. You don't have to treat me, you don't have to treat me like a mark. So I just wanted to make that in there so I could get a legit answer. Not thinking anything of it. I sent the email, went to bed, woke up the next morning, and in my inbox it said, please forward your writing information to David McLean. He's interested in reviewing it. And I was just floored. I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it. I was jumping up and down in my bedroom, and I was like, this can't be real. This has to be a joke. This has to be a rib, right? There's no way that, that I have the chance to send, my writing to the David McLean. So I did everything that they asked. I sent, my information, my background, which at the time, like I said, I was a student, so I didn't really have a lot of professional credits to my name. Most of just working on, stuff through school projects and, worked in the theater, in high school and college and stuff. So I had a little bit of amateur background, but nothing really professional. So I was like, you know, there's no way I'm going to be even considered. So it just kind of was this evolution of, okay, I've got to this point. There's no way I'm going to get to the next step. And then that all led up to for a couple of months of emails. And then finally, David said, hey, I want to hop on the phone with you and kind of do a phone interview. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to make it past this. So I got on the phone with him. We talked about how, we're both from Indianapolis. We connected on the fact that just the stuff around around town. And I knew his background with the Bruiser and the World Wrestling Association, which is just fascinating subject. If anybody is a wrestling historian out there, I highly recommend researching the WWA territory here in Indianapolis. It's full of some great talent. And then the other thing was the fact that, and I know you can relate to this, Mike, but when I was growing up, I watched the original WoW when it was in syndication here on television, and that was I knew the history of it. So David started talking about some of the classic storylines, like he talked about Lana's Christmas program where she read the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas type segment. And I remember, it was like, oh my gosh, I remember that as clear as day. It was so vivid in my mind. And so based on the fact that we were able to connect on a personal level and the fact that I had this professional knowledge of what had happened in WoW already, so I knew where the storylines were picking up, I knew where the characters were picking up, and I knew the history. I think that really, did it. I think that really sold me to David. So David was like, let's do it. I think this is going to work great. And then there were a few false starts through 2012. They had events lined up that just didn't happen. And I remember, I'm sure the talent got discouraged, but I really started to get discouraged. Like, man, whatever happens, like I'm all the way out here in Indianapolis. They're all the way out there in LA. So all I could do is just stay on top of them through communication and correspondence, and would send emails, and I would call. And finally it was December of 2012. So this is almost a year of just communicating through email. And finally, it was December of 2012. We got together, started doing some conference calls and some web conferences, and started putting a show together. And then I don't know if anybody remembers, but the first show that we did was January of 2013. We were in Vegas at the Eastside Cannery Casino and off to the races, and the rest is history at that point. But that was my process of pretty much a full year of just trying to get my foot in the door and be a part of this family. So I initially came on as a writer, and after the writing, after we did those shows in Vegas, David tried a bunch of different announcers, and just through various, flukes, there was just something that didn't click with David and some of the announcers that they tried. And we threw out other names that could have potentially filled that spot. But again, just something that David wasn't really feeling when we would throw out those names. So finally, I, in addition to doing writing in college, I also did some broadcasting. So I finally threw my name into the hat, and I said, David, just let me try it. Let me do it. Let me give it a shot. We already work well together. You're already paying me. So, it's like, just, let me give it a shot. So we got together in a hotel in Long Beach with me, David, and our director, and a few microphones and a computer. And we took those shows that we filmed in Vegas, and David and I just started rolling on the commentary. And, like I said, I feel like we already had a connection, but we just we hit another gear when we were on commentary, and we just took it to another level. And he and I, as you guys have seen on TV, I feel like we have a great chemistry when it comes to being on the microphone together and being at the table. So it was, we had that right from the very beginning. And I think that's what sealed my fate as far as the announcing goes. And again, from there, it was just, it was just a match made in heaven, I feel like.
So currently now, so you are doing the commentary on WoW. Are you still involved in the storyline process?
Yeah. I always say the nucleus, the creative nucleus of WoW is always going to be David, McLean, and Selena Majors, who was a character for a long time on the show, but she's always been behind the scenes as the trainer. So she's in charge of making sure that the wrestlers are good to go. The new, less experienced athletes that we bring in, she makes sure that they are ring ready by the time it's time. By the time the show gets going, by the time it's bell time. So David and Selena are always the creative nucleus. Everything you see on that show starts and ends with them. And then I always am, the third wheel, not in a negative sense, I guess, but I guess I'm like the tiebreaker. If there's like David, Selena, and they're on opposite ends, I can always fill in those gaps. So yeah, but from top to bottom, it's, the three of us have, from since that day in 2012 in December, to now here, we're recording this in 2020. So 8 years, we've had this 3-person team going where we're creating these stories and these characters, and this is the driving force behind what you see on television. And it's amazing. I never thought, watching these two on TV, I would have never thought that we would have gelled so well as a team, writing, creating these shows, and then working on screen together with David. It's surreal. It's a dream come true, but it's awesome work. And I love every second of it.
So what does WoW superheroes look for in their talent when they're scouting new talent?
There's no one thing that anybody is looking for when you're looking for a WoW superhero. Because I know that's one thing I always throw out, names that I find through indie wrestling. I love following independent wrestling, and I think there's so many talented people out there that I always try to throw out some names as people that I like. But it's not, like I said, it's not just one thing. There's not a look. There's not a certain personality trait. It's kind of those things you can't put your finger on it, but when you see it, you know it. So if there's somebody that just exudes this larger than life personality that you feel like, for me, when I look at them, it's like, if I can see them on TV in a WoW ring and I feel like they can deliver, and I feel like you put a microphone in their hands or put a camera on them and they're not going to buckle under that pressure, I think that is when I feel like I'm getting that from a performer, I think that's the main thing that you look for. But again, it's not any one thing. It could be the fact that they're athletic. It could be the fact that they have a great look. It could be the fact that they talk great, that they know how to work a microphone, that they work well with a certain opponent, that they just look good on a stage or in a certain outfit. But there's so many things that come together to make it so that these women, these awesome, strong, powerful women, can look like superheroes, no pun intended, like these larger than life characters on TV.
Now, I'm sure you've auditioned many WoW superheroes over the past years. Now, one in particular went on that you guys passed on, and she went to the WWE, and her name is Sarah Logan. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah. It's a fun story. It's so long ago that so many different things have happened and so many twists and turns have happened that this is a story I feel like we can share now. But years ago, there was an email forwarded to me. I say like 4, 5, 6 years ago. There was an email forwarded to me by an executive with WoW, and it was originated from an independent wrestler named Madman Pondo. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with that name, but he does a lot of wrestling here in my area, here in Indiana, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Illinois, just independent shows like that. And he's branched out and done a lot of stuff. But he was telling us about this wrestler he knows named Crazy Mary Dobson. And she was a young independent worker. She did a lot of hardcore wrestling, a lot of weapons type matches, very, very bloody, violent matches throughout this area. And I believe at the time, Pondo and Crazy Mary Dobson were dating, and then he was kind of serving as her representative and her agent at the time. So he was trying to get her more work, get her name out there, which I respect that. A lot of, it's just what you do when a good worker. So I saw the materials he sent us, the matches, the pictures, the background information, and I was familiar with her work on the indies. But there were two things going into it that I really they were not red flags, but just knowing what I know about WoW management and what they look for, that I knew at the time wasn't going to work. And the first thing was, like I said, at the time, Crazy Mary Dobson was doing a lot of hardcore wrestling with a lot of blood, a lot of violence, and that was something that WoW management was not in favor of. It was something that they didn't want to get involved. They didn't want to get involved with wrestlers who were doing that on the indie scene. The idea being that they're pursuing some advertisers and some endorsements and some TV deals. So when you're going for that, and then your performers are showing up doing these matches for promotions that aren't seeking the same endorsement deals that we are, it doesn't line up with the values, and then you really kind of end up with this weird dynamic between the performer inside WoW and the performer outside WoW, and it's hard to separate those two. So at the time, it was just something that the WoW management wanted to avoid, so they could keep pursuing these TV deals and endorsements and sponsorship deals. So that was red flag number one. The second one was with Madman Pondo being the one reaching out to us, and the fact that, like I said, I know they were involved in a personal relationship of some kind. They WoW management had talked about. I'd heard so many people in WoW was like, oh, so and so's boyfriend or so and so's husband or so and so's this person that they're dating, wife or girlfriend, emailed us, and now they want to do this, or now they're not comfortable doing this, and now they're not in favor of this. And they just got to the point where I heard so many times, it's like, we're just done dealing with the spouse. We want to deal with just the wrestler. So again, I was like, I felt like that was just going to lead to another situation that WoW executives probably didn't want to get into. So ultimately, I told the person who emailed me, I said, look, I don't see this being a good fit right now. It's probably best not to pursue this. Not that she's not talented, and I kept saying that. I said she's a good worker, but based on where we're at right now, where she's at right now, I just think it's going to be a headache for everyone, for the WoW people, for Crazy Mary Dobson. And then I just said probably not. And then ultimately that was the final call, that she wasn't going to be brought into WoW. Fast forward years later, and Crazy Mary Dobson gets signed to WWE and the NXT brand, and she becomes Sarah Logan. And not only is she on NXT, but they bring her on to SmackDown, and she's part of the Riot Squad, and really just established this reputation as a great up and comer, really promising future talent. And I know she got released recently at the time we're recording this. It was just about a week or so ago that she was released by WWE. But, I've always been a fan of hers. And, even though we like I said, I kind of made the call to pass on her. It wasn't due lack of talent. It was just, things didn't line up at that time. And, as things have worked out, she ended up with WWE doing amazing things. She got married, to Raymond Rowe of the Viking Raiders and War Machine. So, she ended up doing big things. We're doing great things over here. So I think ultimately, I'm not trying to take credit for anything good or bad that happened to anybody or anything in that situation, but it's just funny how things work out in the long run. Everybody ended up benefiting from that one moment, that little butterfly effect moment there.
And there have been many great matches in WoW over the years. Looking back, is there any particular match or matches that stand out to you that you're like, I really loved watching this match, or those group of performers really gave a good show during that match?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's two of my favorites to ever call were Caged Heat. They're brawlers, so I don't think anybody's ever gonna sit there and say they're technicians or high flyers or anything. But just the fact that they would just viciously just go into the ring and just hammer away at their opponents. But they were just so fun too. They were just charismatic. They had this energy. They were hilarious. They were just always a good time whenever they came out. It's like those were the ones where the audience would always perk up, and everybody got excited to see Loca and Delta come out to the ring. And then you added Sophia Lopez later in their run, and you just realized that, my goodness, it's like there was just such a fantastic dynamic between Loca and Delta, and then adding Sophia. It was wonderful. Those two and Sophia just knocked it out of the park every time. So those were two of my favorites. As far as matches though, I'll never forget the first world title change I called was when Lana Starr defended the title against Jungle Girl in Las Vegas when we filmed at the Eastside Cannery, and Jungle Girl ended up beating Lana, and it was the end of this long journey for Jungle Girl. Like I said, I know you can relate to me on this, watching Jungle Girl, watching Lana for all those years, seeing those two finally get in the ring together, and then Jungle Girl wins the world championship. So deserved, she earned it so much she earned so much in that the time that she'd been wrestling, and she was one of the most deserving champions that you'll ever find, and just one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet, obviously. So yeah, seeing Jungle Girl win the world title, it was huge. And I guess going forward, anytime I get to call a world title match or a tag team title match, just there's a certain atmosphere in the air, and nothing compares to it. So no matter how many world title matches I get to call, no matter who's in it, it's just like there's this, it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and it's just a totally different energy in the building when that world title gets hoisted up, and you're about to see a great match, and two people just go at it and give their all in the ring.
Is there any type of match that WoW hasn't done yet that you'd like to see WoW do?
You and I talk a lot about, they've done battle royals, but I love battle royals. I'm a huge fan of it. I'd love to see them do a battle royal. We talk about the Mike Rand battle royal. Hopefully one of these days we'll get to see it, fingers crossed. But me personally, I love a good old school cage match. And we haven't done a cage match since Selena Majors and Thug. I would love to see another cage match in WoW. As far as something that we haven't seen, probably like an I Quit match. Back in the day, you'd see those old school I Quit matches, just people just beating the holy hell out of each other, and just a good old fashioned just scrum. You know what I mean? So yeah, probably something along those lines. I love those brawl, just those intense type matches, I Quit matches, last man standing matches. Just that is like, I think it's not always done well, but when it is, it's just there's something about it that's like, you look back at what was the Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine in the dog collar match. That's another one that I love. So I just the physicality of those matches. I'd love to see something like that someday.
All right, I'm going to throw out some WoW superhero names, and you tell me what are some of the first things that come to your mind when I mention
Okay.
them. So we'll start off with Jungle Girl.
Intensity. Oh my gosh, she's one of the most intense people you'll ever know, and outside of WoW, she runs a gym. So I mean, she eats, sleeps, lives, and breathes just being this fierce competitor. So intensity.
Cage T.
Fun. With two of the most fun people you'll ever meet, and just a blast to be around.
Lana Star.
High maintenance. She's oh gosh, Lana's one of a kind. She is and I say high maintenance, but I mean she does have, there's another side that people don't see to her, and she has a kindness to her, but of course she's Lana Star, and she wants things the way she wants it, and things are going to be how she needs it, and she's not going to accept anything less than the best. So that is the Lana that you see. That's the Lana you get.
The Beast.
Power, just pure power. Like those videos that you see when she comes out where she's lifting weights and throwing tires and stuff. That's not special effects. Like, she can legitimately just manhandle anything put in front of her. So just raw power. That's what I say about the Beast.
Fire and adrenaline.
Fire and adrenaline. Athleticism, energy, excitement. I mean, those two, I love when they come to the ring, because I know it's going to be nothing like anybody's ever seen before. I know they're always going to pull out something different. I know they're always going to pull out something unique. They are two of the most fun, incredibly athletic people you will ever see in that ring.
Now, what would you say are a couple things that maybe, 3 things that maybe fans don't know about you?
3 things that people don't know about me. Well, I'm not on social media anymore, so I don't know that people really got a chance to know me. But 3 things people don't know about me. I'm a father of 2 great kids. I've got a 12-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter, and they're my world. They're the reason I do what I do. And I always say that one of the reasons I like doing WoW is that one of these days my kids are going to grow up, and people are going to tell them, everybody says to kids, reach for the stars, but then you reach a certain point as you get to an adult, and they say you got to be realistic. Well, I can tell my kids, it's like, never stop chasing your dreams, because they can come true. So yeah, I mean, it's I'm a proud parent. I'm coming up on my second wedding anniversary with my lovely wife, Natalie, and she's another driving force behind everything that I do. So yeah, that's a proud father, proud husband. So those are two things people might not know about me. Third thing people might not know about me was something I trying to think of something weird here that people you don't hear everybody say. I don't know. Everybody's got like a favorite show or movie. I love horror movies. Maybe that's the third thing people don't know about me. So I try to relate to people on a certain level. But yeah, so anybody out there who likes horror movies, if you see me at a WoW show and you like horror movies, you can probably stop and talk to me, and we'll probably kill 2-3 hours just talking about scary movies. But yeah, so yeah, I love horror movies. My favorite movie of all time is Psycho. I love the old black and white aesthetic of the movie. So yeah, those are probably three interesting facts about me. I don't know how interesting those are to other people, but yeah, that's I think that perfectly sums me up.
Okay, and now we're going to do a quick lightning round where I'm going to name you a couple things and you tell me which one you prefer.
Okay.
Okay. WWE or AEW?
Right now, AEW.
Lemons or limes?
Limes.
Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Oh, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know most people would say Scream, but I'm going to go with I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I agree with you on that one. I like that one too. Now, this one's a three-way question. So,
okay.
Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, or Becky Lynch?
I'm going to go Sasha Banks. I love Sasha. I've been a fan of hers from the beginning, and I think she's highly underrated and just a great in-ring talent. So, Sasha Banks.
John Cena or Roman Reigns?
John Cena.
The Middle or Modern Family?
The Middle. I'm from Indiana. I got to go the Middle.
I agree. I love The Middle. That's one of my favorite shows. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Kelly Clarkson or Carrie Underwood?
Kelly Clarkson.
Pizza with toppings or pizza with no toppings?
Toppings. More toppings, the better. Throw it on.
21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street?
It's like making me pick between my children. I'm going to go 21 Jump Street. It launched, it's responsible. 22 Jump Street wouldn't be anything without 21 Jump Street, so I'm going to say 21.
City life or country life?
Country life, but I do like certain aspects of city life, but I don't like, as weird as it sounds, I'm kind of an introvert, so I want to get away to the country. So country life.
Potato or potato?
Potato.
McDonald's or Burger King?
That's a tough one. I got to give the edge to Burger King, though. Flame broiled.
Ooh, okay. I'm a McDonald's fan.
That's okay. Everybody's got their preference, but I love a flame broiled patty from Burger King. I love their burgers.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here today. So why don't you tell all the fans out there if they want to contact you, what's the best way to reach you?
Honestly, you got to go through WoW. I am 100% WoW. So you can find WoW Superheroes at WoW Superheroes on all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you use, WoW's on there. So yeah, if you want to get a hold of me, send it to any of those social media platforms through Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at WoW Superheroes, and they'll pass it along to me. They're not shy about it, trust me. But yeah, like I said, I'm not on social media anymore myself. So yeah, I kind of disconnected. I always told myself once I hit 30, I would be done with social media, and I stuck to it. So I had to draw the line. But yeah, hit up WoW Superheroes, because not only will you find me, but you'll find all the great wrestlers that we have on our roster, and you'll be able to reach out to them too. So yeah, why not?
All right. Thank you very much for joining us today. I had a blast. Everybody keep it right here. More great interviews, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks, everybody.